And only if I need to be on there.
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Good. Happy May. It's nice and summery outside. Feels good. Glad you can make it.
Just if I need it.
Thanks for spending your morning with us today. There's a lot of new faces here, so I'm going to do that cheesy thing that I always do. If you can turn to your neighbor and just say hi. Introduce yourselves.
I'm newer.
See, you're going to find some connections in there.
How are you?
Brianna and I were talking that these sales meetings are almost like a church. Going back to my Catholic roots. So again, I do that because there's so many good relationships. We've got so many good people. And I want to make sure you guys know each other for resources with your listings. All right, well, we've got a great sales meeting. Again, we've got a lot of stuff to cover today. And we've got two great sponsors. We've got Hymen with Fidelity National Home Warranty. You guys might know her. And then, of course, Amir, Razi, and Brianna Collette of Own Home Loans, our in-house lender. So let's give them a round of applause for our breakfast today. Karen, you wanted to go first? All right, so let's welcome Karen up to the stage. People.
So I have a question. You know you're going to get the call after closing, or if you close in the winter, my air conditioning isn't turning on, right? What do? Do you present them with a problem or a solution? If you incorporate a home warranty into your business, you give them a solution, not a problem. Because you know those calls are going to come. Home warranties are also one of the best ways to build your business and get referrals. So that homeowner that turns their air conditioning on and it doesn't work, and they have a warranty, a good warranty, and they get that covered, guess who they're going to send their friends to when they're looking for a real estate agent? So it is, I know it's something that not everybody in this market incorporates into their business plans, but I am seeing it more and more. We are up over 23% warranty usage attached to real estate transactions. About 10 years ago, it was under 10%. So people are seeing the value in home warranties, and we also have much better warranty coverage and good companies here. The reason that I affiliate with Fidelity is we have been in business over 42 years. We are number 313 on the Fortune 500 list. So we are backed by big, big bucks. We are A+ rated, and we are affiliated with Fidelity National Financial. 1 out of every 3 real estate transactions in this country has a Fidelity product attached, whether it be Fidelity Home Warranty, Fidelity Title, Chicago Title, Heritage Title, or BPG Inspections. We are all the same family under the umbrella of FNF, Fidelity National Financial. I have been in the business for many, many years, and I have to say that this company has changed my job. In my previous job, I spent 30 to 40% of my time dealing with complaints. This isn't right, they didn't cover this, they didn't show up, we can't reach this person, we wait on hold for 3 hours, all the stuff. My job now is doing this, and I do that probably less than 10% because we are efficient. I've never been with a company that is more efficient at handling claims. Vendors are usually out there within a day or two. In the heat of the summer, of course, AC does take a little bit longer, and I will say appliance technicians are usually booked up. But they're really good about it. Even our vendors that I have worked with and brought over from other companies, they're always like, Fidelity's so easy to work with. We don't have to wait on hold for an hour to get approval on a claim. We tend to pay them a little bit better, and that's a strategy that Fidelity uses. So, because think of it this way, there's a lot of vendors that work with multiple warranty companies. Guess which claim they're going to pick up first? the one that is going to pay them the best, and the one that is easiest to work with. So that is a huge initiative on Fidelity. Also, our customer service, I just was in a company meeting. We have over 4 stars on service for Fidelity, almost 4.5, and about over 4 stars on our vendors, which is really, really crazy, but so pleasant to know. Some of the things about the coverage that Fidelity offers is we do not have a max on HVAC or water heater. We cover multiple HVAC and water heater systems with no additional charge. If you've got 1 or 6, it's all included. We cover multiple appliances. So if you've got a finished basement and it's got a dishwasher or built-in microwave, those are included. The only thing it would not cover an additional refrigerator or washer and dryer, but those other ancillary appliances would be covered in multiples. For our appliance coverage, we have pretty much the highest limits that we see here in the Denver metro. We cover up to $5,000 on refrigerators, up to $3,500 on each of the other appliances. And if any of you work in the luxury market, we actually have an additional coverage you can buy, which if you do work with high-end kitchens, we can buy that coverage up to $8,500 on a refrigerator and $7,000 on each of the others. It's called the appliance limit upgrade. So for those people that have $20,000 Viking and Wolf, we can help out on those. They just, just like with anything, they can't be the commercial grade. They have to be residential grade. We do cover, one of the things that we cover that nobody else covers is everybody gets pest control. Never seen another warranty company do it. It is specific to certain pests, but it does include mice. It is not for preventative, it is for spot treatment, but paying your service fee beats paying Terminix $200 to come out and kill a couple mice or do what we need to do there. Rekey is included in every single plan. We do cover the garage door systems, not the doors, windows, those things are not covered, but we do cover the remotes, the keypads, the springs, the hinges, the motors. We replace those all the time. And what I just want to make clear is this. I'm sure you've heard other warranty companies. We have no max, just like what I said. That does not mean if you need a new furnace or a water heater or an AC, you're not going to have some non-covered costs that go along with a covered claim. No max means we're going to cover the full cost to haul away and safely dispose of the old equipment. We're going to cover the full cost of the new equipment. We're going to cover the full cost of the labor. We're going to cover the first $250 in permits, depending on the municipality, may or may not be necessary. We're going to cover the first $1,000 in ductwork. And depending on the plan you choose, we're going to cover the first $250 or the first $1,250 in modifications that need to be made to bring things up to current code. So out of pocket is minimal, but there usually is some. Is everybody aware about the new APA regulations with refrigerant? Raise your hand if you're not. Okay, real quick. We have banned Puron last year. We are into a new class of refrigerants called A2L. A2L is not compatible with anything else out there. So there is more of a chance on a full replacement rather than a repair or a leak prevention. So it is so important to have a home warranty on AC and furnace right now. If you replace an AC system, we now have to replace the coils on the furnace. We will replace those coils if necessary. And the one last thing I want to hit on is this. I am Fidelity in Colorado. I do not give out 800 numbers. I do not send people to call centers. If you have a warranty and you give it to your client, you give them my card. I will assist them with anything they need. I will not give out a call center number. I'm not the person that just will just go call.
She is.
Big deal. So in the event of any kind of issue with a claim, once I know about it, I can get it addressed, send it to my claims manager. If you have a problem, whatever it is, she will call the homeowner within 4 business hours. On an urgent situation, 90 minutes. So please feel free to contact me with any questions. If you need anything, I do homeowner consultations so that your homeowners will have correct expectations on the warranty.
Karen is amazing. She's changed companies maybe twice, and we followed Karen for that exact
I'm
reason.
never changing.
Yes, she is the one who's really there for customer service. So thank you for being here, Karen. And of course, Amir Razi.
Yeah, thank you,
Own
thank
Home
you.
Loans.
Morning, everybody.
Let's welcome Amir.
Thank you. I have a little flyer here for you guys. Probably the biggest change in the mortgage business to be aware of over the last few months. A fairly big one. You guys all know FICO scores. Everybody here has 40 to 50 different FICO scores. I don't know if you're aware of that, but FICO has a lot of different scoring models. So, sometimes you look up your FICO score and you're like, oh, it's really good. I subscribe to Credit Karma, and then you call your mortgage lender and they're like, well, it's not as good as you thought it was. And that's just because a different algorithm is used to calculate that score. But all of those scores have always been governed by Fair, Isaac, and Company. Fair, Isaac, and Company is different than the three credit bureaus, which are Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Those three credit bureaus are the ones that actually collect the data. They find out if you paid your Old Navy credit card on time or whatever, credit cards you have, any loans. They collect that data, they track those payments, but Fair, Isaac, and Company takes that data and then calculates your corresponding credit score. Well, the three credit bureaus decided to create their own scoring model, their own algorithm to calculate a score. And this happened years and years ago. And it's, when companies do something like that, because there's been a lot of competitors that have tried to disrupt the monopoly that FICO has. And it's really never had much success until last month when Fannie Mae agreed to start using this new score, which is called a Vantage score. Why does this matter? Well, for you guys, the Vantage score is calculated differently. And it's calculated with a lot less data than a FICO score. So if you've ever had a buyer apply for a mortgage and they didn't have a credit score or they didn't have enough trade lines or things like that, that's something that very likely could change with this new scoring model. So it does open up doors for a lot of buyers, especially first-time home buyers that wouldn't have otherwise been able to qualify. So if you keep track of these things, which you should, and you go back through your little database of home buyers that got denied for not having good enough credit or not having a credit score, it's worth taking a second look at them. The scores are calculated different as well. So somebody who might get maybe like a 6.5 interest rate with a FICO score, maybe they get a little bit of a lower interest rate with this new scoring model. So they can also potentially get better pricing, meaning lower mortgage payments or lower fees at closing. So there's some information on here. I think it's worth reading. If you guys have questions, feel free to grab me. Thanks so much.
All right, guys. So, now we can settle in as far as meeting, right? So we have so many great agents that have joined us over the last couple months, weeks. So I would love to just give you a quick welcome if you're attending your first sales meeting for the first time. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but if you could stand and just do a quick hello, and I'll present you with an equity lapel pin. We don't bite. We're one of the friendliest offices in the nation. Jennifer. Hi. Yeah. Hi. This is Jennifer Butler.
I'm Jennifer Butler. Came from Remax Elevate from Boulder County.
All right.
Happy to be here.
All right. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you. I'm Laura Hall, and I've been an agent since 2005. I came from Massachusetts when I worked in Sotheby's, and I've been here for 4 years, but I'm kind of taking my time. I was up in Evergreen, I worked with Berkshire Hathaway, and then I came down at DTC, and I worked with Williams. but here I am, ready to get my feet wet and get moving. I live over by Rexborough Park, so I'd love to do open houses over by the Front Range. If anybody is looking for help, or if you're on vacation, need coverage, do showings, or
Your
I'm
neighbors,
available.
Laura, I'll co-host.
I know.
I'm near you too, so.
Rexborough Park, Highlands Ranch, down that way. So
Thank you, Laura. Yeah, so great to have you with us. Thank you. Mr. Denny.
Denny Hughes, I came over with Sara from Highland Ranch office. She recruited me when I first became an agent. When I retired, I became a real estate agent because I loved it. So I've been doing mostly investment properties for the last 15 years. So now I'm doing stuff with Sara. Now I'm with the big equity, so. Thanks.
Any others that we overlooked? We got everybody. Oh, there's one more that I noticed. If you'd like to say hello, Karina, we'd love for you to.
My name is Karina Asla, and I have been a realtor for about 7 years. Through a number of mortgages, but the first two ones are just really very short time. But I have been with York Castle for the longest time, but because of some changes happening, and I actually been here a few years ago.
Yeah, we talked for a long time.
Yeah, and then I'm happy to be back here.
good.
Anybody else that I might have missed? I think that's everybody, right? Okay, good. And then a quick shout out. I wish these agents were here. So I know I say this every month, but we've grown our company primarily by referral, which that's a big deal because that's what you feel in our culture when we bring on great agents who just fit the mold of who we are as professionals. And so thank you for your referrals. And so Najud Hogue, I know she might be watching online. Najud referred Miriam, and Leah Flores referred Monique Mays, and then Randy Smith, one of our employing brokers out there in Utah, referred Chris Herring, which will be joining. He'll be joining in the next couple weeks. So your referrals mean the world, and you guys are truly shaping our culture here. That's so important to us. So thank you. You got to be here though to get the $10 gift cards. Just kidding. You'll see it in the mail. I'm pointing at the video camera. So thank you. And then a handful of other agents who have joined: Dina Walleen, Lily Sterner, Brian Becker, Carol Fanning, Amy St. Pierre, Laura, of course. And we've got Monique, Karina, and Mary Lou Fox. So just continuing to grow with some really great people. I'm really happy about that. All right, built to last. Got to get in the zen here. So our theme for 2026 is built to last. For those of you attending the meeting for the first time, we put some words together that kind of describe what this theme means. And these themes are so important because it's little, intricate, incremental pieces that we work into our business, but also into our personal lives. And for me, built to last, it's about purpose and longevity and sustainability. We want to incorporate actions that avoid burnout. So we are still selling homes 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And this month, I was trying to find quotes, and I'm just going to put one together myself on what it means to me within this particular space this month. So the words I came up with: built to last means resisting the pressure to do everything at once, and instead committing to the few things that move the needle forward consistently. That's what I want to focus on with today's meeting. Consistency. And, well, our next slide, we want to get away from this. Isn't AI awesome? AI, make me a meme that shows an overwhelmed real estate agent who's juggling the millions of things that they do in their job. So let's look at some of these. These are just some of the activities that you guys have to do. Find new leads. Respond to leads fast. Qualify buyers and sellers. Oh, and be a counselor, a negotiator, a marketer, analysis, a CPA. Paperwork never ends. Open houses. Sleep, what's that? This one was a little funny, but I decided to keep it. I don't have time to pee. It's very easy in this business to have this giant mountain of work in front of us, and we get overwhelmed. That whole concept of being busy versus productive. Now, I don't want to discredit these activities because they are important, but the focus with Built to Last, I noticed this one is right by her head. In my mind, that makes me think that one is at the top of her list, to network and build relationships. So with Built to Last and moving the needle forward, what happens if we don't have any leads or relationships? What happens? We don't have anybody to help. We go on vacation. But then you get busy. Yes. So I'm trying to have these two messages within our Built to Last theme today. I know you guys can get overwhelmed because that's just part of the job, all these responsibilities, and not to mention the life stressors that also get in the mix too. Of I have a sick kid and I'm dealing with ER bills, and there's all these little nuances to life and to business, and it's important to do these things so we can become better business people and better people in our relationships as well. But I do want to focus on network and building relationships. I know I sound like a broken record, but that is the proven strategy to get in front of your people who know and trust and love you, and do that consistently. So I have a quick video that I want to watch to introduce a new series that is right in line with our theme for Built to Last, and focusing on the things that move the needle, which are face-to-face relationships, coffee meetings, client relationships, client outreaches, providing personalized value to the people in your database. So this video, Brian Johnson, does anybody remember him? Mm-hmm. You're going to start seeing him a little bit more because we're working on something fun with Brian Johnson and their CEO and their VP. Todd Schuster's still in the background helping with this, but we might have a really cool class coming from Brian Johnson here in the near future. Brian's whole thing, he takes ancient philosophy books and he boils them down into bite-sized pieces that we can all kind of understand. And it's fascinating to see a lot of the same concepts that were happening back with Aristotle 2,500 years ago are still so true in today's day and age. Figuring out who we are as people and what makes us tick and how do we stay on task with whatever our objectives are for the week and for the day. Those are all same lessons that have been happening for 2,500 years, and that's why these videos are so applicable. So who better to continue this theme than Brian Johnson himself? So I'm going to watch this quick little video with you guys on incremental to BAM. And I think he calls it, micro gains, incremental to BAM.
Hi, this is Brian. Welcome back to another Optimize Plus One. As all parents know, one of the most amazing things about having kids is watching them hit new milestones, when one day they can do what was impossible just the day before. This recently happened in the Johnson house. Our little baby Eleanor went from not being able to crawl to being able to cruise all over the place in what appeared to be the span of 24 hours. Of course, that's life-changing not just for her, but for mom and dad as well. Now, as a father who happens to be a lover of wisdom, I couldn't help but notice that this huge shift in ability that seemed to be arrived at so suddenly was actually arrived at in an incredibly incremental way. Of course, Eleanor has been slowly developing all the requisite strength and skills to be able to crawl, and then, bam, it's on. But it's fascinating to reflect on the fact that each of the preceding micro gains didn't make it obvious that something so big was in the works. And of course, it's the same thing with us. We may not see any big results in our lives as we work hard to implement these little plus ones. But guess what? One day, a switch will flip, and you'll be able to easily do what was, up until that point, impossible. So here's to the plus ones that lead to the plus 10,000s. And here's to making sure the house is officially childproof. We've got a baby on the loose. Isn't it?
I just feel like that's such an applicable message to our business. These incremental things that might not seem significant when you do them, but if you stack them up over time, they turn into real tangible results. And that's built to last. It's holding yourself accountable, to be consistent on the things that move the needle, even if you're not seeing immediate results right then and there. You will see results if you stay consistent. And that applies to so many things in life, too. So you guys with me? Try to be intentional, time block these business building activities when it comes to getting in front of your clients. They need to hear from you. And the fun part about our job now, with Greg and Sara as our managing brokers, we just get to brainstorm and think about these concepts. And how can we bring this to our agents in a way that feels true? We're living these same themes just like we hope you guys are living these same things. So with that said, Greg, Sara, and myself, we were just brainstorming. Why don't we give them one thing that wins every month so that those items just surface? They're easy to identify amongst all the other things that it takes to run business. So this is a new series that I'm excited to introduce. It's an item of value for you guys. One monthly takeaway, mostly done for you. We've done as much of the item as we can for you. You just have to take it, get home, and go do it. And to kick it off, Greg had a really great idea, and Sara then expanded on it. Would you like to come up and tell them about our one thing that wins? Sure. So these are proven incremental activities for sustainable success. Drum roll, please. There you go.
So something that I think is more common to do when there's a reevaluation year, every 2 years, property values are reevaluated by the county assessor. And something that I've had success with in the past is reaching out to my sphere, my database, and just offering to review that for them, see if we can save them some money on the taxes. And it's a nice service. It gives you a real good excuse just to reach out and offer your database an item of value. And so we put together basically an email for you to send to your database with the links to all the local counties, and their procedures for that. But also, you can make them an offer to review the data for them. And this is available to review every year, even though they're only reassessed every 2 years. Every year between May 1st and June 8th, typically, it varies by county. You can, the homeowner can go in and contest their property values if they feel the value is too high, and then try to get their taxes lower. So this is a nice little email you can send out. You'll need to edit it a little bit because there's some things just to you in there, but you can copy that, email that to your database, and follow up with a phone call. Say, hey, just want to check in. I sent you an email. Wanted to see if you need any help in checking out your properties. For this current evaluation, the sales go through June 30th, 2024. So the time period, the values they've come down since then, but maybe there's some properties that the assessor missed that you can look at, you can identify that are more consistent with your database, your client's property, and save them some money. And it doesn't take that long to do. They will need to fill out the form, and most of them are online. They will need to, you could do that for them, but I don't do that for mine. I give them the information, and they can fill out the form online and show them how to do that. Provide the links to them as far as these have all the links for the different counties that if they want to contest their values. Yeah. So again, just a reason, just an excuse to get in front of your people and offer them some value. And there's a whole thing about it goes into whether it's Brian Buffini or other programs, whatever you can do to add value to your sphere of influence in your clients. So, any questions on this or on the procedure? Yeah.
I think this is wonderful, and this is a great outreach to clients.
Yeah.
I've personally helped a number of clients, and recently in Broomfield County when they assessed our property value sky high.
Great.
Do you know anyone who has ever won an appeal?
I do. I have
Really?
several
Yeah.
clients.
Okay.
My clients do too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they,
Good.
it has to be presented on their form. You can't just provide a CMA.
Yeah.
It has to be put together on their form.
Yeah.
Now, I did have clients that had a very justifiable case, for instance, in Larkspur and Sageport.
Yeah.
They have a basic ranch-style house on 5 acres, but they're being compared to newer houses, and they still couldn't convince them to change it. It was sad. But I've had several clients that were able to win the appeal. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I say one quick thing too? This is an item of value. And I see so many agents get stuck on, I need to send things out on Facebook, and I need to send Happy Mother's Day, Happy Memorial Day. Yes, those are important because people see you. But this is the stuff that shows your expertise. And it's something truly valuable that will change somebody's life. I think you can lower those valuations for your clients. And it's a way to show your professionalism much more than just a social media post about holidays. It's substance. So I want to make sure we highlight that distinction. And we put this all together. The links are there. You don't have to search.
Yeah, so this is something that you'd have to act on pretty quick if you did it this year, because they have to have it submitted by June 8th in most counties. So I think Denver's June 1st actually, Denver County, but most of the other counties are June 8th. So if you send it out, you get a handful of people that respond, or you reach out to people when you're talking to them and say, "Did you get my email? Just want to see if I can help out."
Diane.
I've been bad at this, but it's a really good way to touch people. If you haven't talked to a client in 3 years, you feel really dumb. Hi, how are you? Sometimes, but you're giving value, and this is a great way to touch them and say, I'm here to help you. Let's see what your value is.
And they really can't do it on their own because they need that specific time range that you have access to in the MLS, but they don't. So you really are providing something that they can't really do on their own.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Sarah put together a nice Facebook post if you want to reach out to your sphere that way as well.
Yes,
really
the
nice.
email and letter templates will be available in our recap. And then Sara, social media expert, goes, I'll put a social media post together, and we want to hit them at every angle. So,
Yeah, so this basically, if you scan that QR code, you will get access to this PNG right now, and then you could just put it right up on Facebook or Instagram. I always use ChatGPT to come up with what I'm saying with my posts, but you could, fill out your caption and it would be right there. So easy peasy. We're trying to, not everybody, but a lot of people have issues with social media, keeping up with it, stuff like that. So this is something that we wanted to add to the presentation so you guys just have something that you can take with you really quickly and get it posted.
what do you guys think?
That's great.
This post is going to be the same one that you put in the summary. This posted.
Yeah, we'll have links to all the templates and editable so you can change out, but they're branded, they're ready to go. You just have to add your name and your client's name.
And these are done on Canva, so if you are Canva savvy and you want like the actual link to Canva so you can go in and maybe change one thing or something. I will say that I have the paid version of Canva, so we might have to adjust some things if you don't, but that's easy to do. So if you want to kind of edit things, you can have that link as well. This will just take you to the public link. Well, it'll just take you to the PNG, right, where you just save it. So, yeah, but there's other options if you want to.
So part of the problem, I feel like in our business, is there's so much stuff everywhere, all the time, in your face. Try this, do this, do this, do this, do this, do. What we're trying to do with this series is highlight these relatively simple activities that have been proven to work. I mean, Greg's success, I've heard several people in the audience today have said that it's worked. I've got a long list of other things that we're going to be highlighting. at each sales meeting. So this is going to be a
And
continuation.
even if there's not justification, it gives you an excuse to talk to your people.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's rooted in the referral relationship, truly checking in rather than cold calling leads. That's the stuff that moves the needle. So
Do people still do that?
Which
Cold call?
some do,
I think some do, yeah.
some do. If only we could show them what works, right? And so, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this, and we'll continue to pour creativity into it, so it's really easy for you to grow your business.
That's great.
Good job, guys. I think, yeah, you got stats. And if you just want space bar, just to progress, or if you want me to do it.
All right.
Alright, so these are month to month, month over month, so comparing March to April. A couple things I wanted to highlight because these closed listings look really great, but I feel like if you're in the market right now, you're like, that's not really great. So where are these coming from? And I think we have to remember that those closed listings all went under contract probably like early March and late February, and they're just now getting closed in April. So I think that's why this is higher, because in those times we did have quite a good market activity going. And then as you can see, the pending listings dipped like 2%, which I think is what most of us are feeling now, like since that March, the middle of March, where we didn't know if it was spring break or the war or whatever else was going on in our world. It definitely came up here where things came to quite a halt. You had listings and stuff. So
Yeah, it's an interesting time. You'll have listings. I had one recently that was on the market for about 45 days, and we had good activity, and then the activity slowed down. But then we had buyers that were just on the fence, and all of a sudden we were able to generate multiple offers. And no price change. So it's kind of interesting. Buyers are taking longer to make decisions because they feel they can, or they're just nervous, at times. But they're still out there, right?
yeah, so I think using that with your buyers is, hey, the pending stats show that they decreased a little bit. I think you have a better shot at having some leverage, making, lower price offer, getting concessions, like having some negotiating power. And then the medium home prices, which I think are a good thing to point out to your buyers as well, is that, you feel like maybe the market is like unstable, but even though with these 2 years of really a slow market and instability, and it'll show on this year over year, we're still sitting at a very reasonable price point, and things have not decreased as much as maybe it's felt like it has. So something to bring up to buyers is, hey, the market's not changing, like get in the game. Or sellers, there's still a very strong market out there if you price it right and we do the right things. So here's year over year. It was pretty flat as far as.
Yeah, slight price decrease, or it's the inventory going down a little bit. It's based on the seasonality going into April. I think pending listings are up over last year, which is great. That's all positive news. Hopefully it continues. New listings are down, which as the inventory grew and people kind of maybe held back a little bit because of the war and so forth. But yeah, it's what it is. There's still people buying and selling. It might feel a little bit slower in some areas, but then all of a sudden you'll have a lot of activity in other price points in certain areas. What are you guys feeling with your listings and your buyers?
I just have a question. Are there a lot more contingency offers? That's what I'm seeing. A lot more people when you're selling, a lot more contingency offers. Is that what you guys are experiencing?
I'm seeing more of those when they're out there. Yeah, depending on the price point, of course.
And the ones with long days on market, or the ones accepting contingent offers.
I had someone call on my listing and ask if we would take a contingent offer, and I asked her where she's at with her listing. And she says, "Well, we're not going on the market until we're on contract."
Yeah.
Usually what's a little bit more, involved, but,
Right.
yeah, so now I have a listing in Hymen Ranch that bottles, I had 2 showings in 2 weeks. So 2 open houses, the first one was about 15 people, the second one was 2. And it's in a great spot, it's priced right, so it's.
Wow, interesting, huh? Isn't that interesting how it is?
Yeah, I don't like to be interesting in that.
No, it's not interesting about it, right?
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on the condo market? Yeah, I know what I feel.
It was good. I mean, I feel like things were picking up, like in early March. It just really is, I feel like, location based. Like, I have a great townhome in Castle Rock that we've had 1 showing. Like,
In how long?
In 40 days.
It sounds like Hymen, okay.
Yeah. But then you have other stuff where, like, I've had a condo in Littleton and we've had a showing or 4, like, every week. And it still hasn't gone under, but at least there's activity. So.
Yeah, with that condo I had in southeast Denver, on Quincy, it was listed previously, and the buyers took it off the market. The sellers took it off the market for a while. Came back on the market and dropped the price, about $25,000 less than what they were, and we're getting activity, but still no offers yet. So it's very kind of a fickle market, I think, in the condo market. HOA fees, all those things have an impact on affordability, but the prices have definitely been affected. I did an analysis for a prospect, and they bought it in 2022, and so the value is down about. This is in Southeast Denver. The value was down about $35,000 from what they bought it, about 10% from when they bought it.
Well, and ironically, when I was doing some research on all this yesterday, the rental market for condos isn't any good either. I mean, so because people are thinking, well, I'll pull it off the market, I'll rent it for a while, and the stuff I was looking at yesterday is like it's the same thing on the rental side of them. So.
Yeah, it's I think a lot of it comes down to obviously supply and demand, and pricing plays a role, and the value is there for a certain buyer, they'll certainly buy it, but yeah.
One of the things we talked about at last month's sales meeting is the changes that conventional loans have made to the insurance standards and requirements, which should help with HOAs. I think there's been a lot of challenges with HOAs and becoming unwarrantable because of those high insurance deductibles and whatnot. So we should see some things resolved with that or some improvement there.
Well, that's good.
But a lot of things with condos and townhomes is affordability. And when rates are coming down and buying power increases for buyers, then they start looking more towards those single family homes. But as affordability tightens, and right now with inflation being a little bit on the rise, gas prices being higher, and rates kind of following suit with that and increasing at the same time, then condos become the thing that people can't afford, and the market will shift, and the desirability for condos will
Yeah,
again.
that's a good point. Absolutely. Thank you.
There we go.
All right.
Well, quickly in the market stats territory, I want to give a shout out to Trish and some positivity because she had a tough one, a tough condo. You're under contract.
Awesome.
So stay patient, stay the course, and the right buyer will be out there. Very good job. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Greg and Sarah. You guys are awesome. Isn't it fun having Greg and Sarah? They're so happy just the way that they are. Good job, guys. All right, so this one is a fun one. We didn't get to do this at our last sales meeting. And to give you some context, we've been slowly compiling a list of calls, frustrations, things you guys are encountering out there with other agents. And we thought, why don't we put something together, these formalities and best practices that you don't really learn in this business unless you're just in the weeds of it, communicating with people and dealing with all the curveballs that are thrown your way in a transaction. So we put together a quick list of 15 things they don't teach you in real estate school. You guys are all connected because you come to the sales meetings regularly. You know what you're doing out there. So some of this might be repeat, but it prompts a conversation because there's stories mixed in to some of these scenarios that I think will bring a lesson to the table. So I'm excited to look at this. Isn't it interesting that showing etiquette is the first one on the list? This list was about 25 items long, and then I'm like, wait, that's a showing etiquette, that's a showing etiquette, that's a showing etiquette. So we compiled them into the showing etiquette space. And we're going to start with act as if you are on camera, because you probably are. Does everybody know that? Yeah. But the conversation is, we just had an agent in Colorado Springs. It was her listing. Araceli, if you're watching, I'll point to the camera. Buyer's agent was in the home saying some terrible things about the property and about just the condition, and they need to do X, Y, and Z, and using some vulgar terms. Wow. And it just amazes me that there are agents out there that are doing that. And I know none of you guys are doing that, but it's worth having that conversation of be prepared on your listings to see some crazy stuff, because there are agents out there that are just not thinking about that.
And also, coach your buyers as well.
Yes.
They're going to be on camera.
Yes,
And
coach your buyers.
Not to say too many things good or bad about the property while they're inside the house.
Yeah, and before every showing, I used to tell people, pretend there's a camera. We don't want to say things that are going to hurt us in the negotiations later. Right. And these are people's homes. They're very personal, excuse me, and we don't want to hurt their feelings and cause problems for the transaction down the road. So that was a fun one. Follow specific showing instructions. If the listing agent takes time to put specific showing instructions in the showing remarks, be aware of them and follow them to a T. Again, you're stepping into someone's home. Whether it's making sure the dogs are locked up, or making sure a certain bedroom is pulled closed because there are exotic snakes that are worth $150,000. That was a true story in a condo. A double door lock. Don't go in that room because there are exotic snakes that are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. In a condo.
I don't think I want to go in there.
Yes.
I would just show it right there.
Yeah. Don't do it. They weren't included. Great It almost became a safety thing. It was almost a safety piece for two reasons. Obviously the snakes, but they were, I guess, sought after snakes, and I guess people buy and sell and trade snakes. And this person was really worried that someone was going to break into the home and take them. So we don't know what kinds of fun we're going to see in those showings. So make sure you're watching those showing instructions really carefully.
Maybe there's a niche for snake-friendly realtors.
Maybe our agent, it's Eileen Kitco. She does all kinds of crazy stuff. Maybe that's a new niche for her. So this is another one that it can cause problems. We get maybe, I'd say 2 or 3 calls a year about this. Do not enter the property early without authorization from the listing agent. We had a really scary one. This agent's no longer with us, so I can talk about it freely. He entered the property about 15, 20 minutes early, and there was a seller in there who was armed. Oh. And that's where it gets really quick, because for all these people know, if they're not expecting you, or if their agent didn't pass on the right time, you're trespassing to maybe a seller who loves their guns. So that's a very scary and serious one. Call the listing agent. Make sure if you are there early, don't just go in. Don't just assume it's vacant. Don't just assume that they'll be okay with it. Because at the end of the day, we have to be safe and courteous, but safe. So call. Always leave a business card behind so the seller knows you were there. I smile because when I was just young, little Paul, 19, 20 years old, I had to do a showing for one of Stacy's clients, and I remember going, "What do I do, Stacy?" I'm like, leave a business card so they know you're there. Are you guys doing that? I feel like most people do it.
Some people ask you not to.
Yeah. Unless they ask you not to.
Unless they ask you not to. But if there's no information on it, You might have a seller who's parked outside anxiously waiting to go home. And maybe they didn't see you go in or come out. And then they just pull the trigger and they go inside. And seeing that business card, okay, good, they are there. I can breathe easy. They're not going to be intruding on my space. I can cook dinner, etc. So a subtle one that's, I think, important.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I'm still new in the Denver market.
Yeah.
And in Massachusetts, where I come from, we always left a card, okay? But here, I see that there's not very many cards being left. And I'm like, is the list agent going to be mad at me? Or am I not supposed to? I know in our code of ethics and in our training, we're supposed to by law or by, ethics. So I did experience an Evergreen. I showed it was a very expensive property, and I left my business card there. And I got a phone call from the seller like 3 days later. I've had so many showings and not one agent has never left a card. And my list agent has never filled me in about any of all these showings. I've had 10 this week or whatever it was. So do you think we could have a meeting and maybe you could be my list agent?
Oh my gosh.
I was like, oh shit, okay.
Simple gesture right there. Then we go into the sign crossing conversation.
I did not solicit myself.
Well, that's a
They
separate.
called me.
You can tell people how you work. You just can't interfere while they're
No,
there.
you can't trash the other
But you
agents, of
can
course
say,
not.
that's just how I run things, and this is what I do in the event that we do enter into agreement.
And I guess the list agent, when I answered back on showing time, what the client did or didn't like about the house, and I'm always careful not to trash the house and, be nice. And it also said, you're one of the only agents that gave me, so the list agent must have had the reply go right back to them rather than the list agent screening it. I like it better if I screen it and then I send it to them.
Yeah.
But they were like, and you answered us back in just like 30 minutes. You were so nice. I like that.
Well, you can get new business that way.
Yeah.
So that's a great example. But the other side of it too is, what if something, I don't know, a liability standpoint. I'm trying to think of a scenario. What if you were the last one in the property and you did everything right? You didn't leave a business card, and that agent automatically thinks, well, maybe they didn't show the home. But if your business card is there, you can reassure them, yeah, I locked up, I did everything right, I was very meticulous because that's how I work, and provide details that might help them get to the bottom of an issue that happened. There's a million different reasons. So if you're ever questioning, should I or should I not, I lean on the side of leave the business card.
You're tracking down an agent that accidentally left the key in their pocket and left.
There's all kinds of scenarios.
Or like a bee's nest or something. Like, did you see like a whole bunch of bees like back when he was?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a fun one too. Bees and snakes, right? But it seems like not that big of a deal. But there's some nuance that comes to the table. When we
And
talk
some
about
agents do put do not leave a business card or please leave a business card.
Yep. So watch out for those showing clerks. And there's another one. I think it's next on the list with a lot of exclamation marks. It's not. It's the next one. So we'll keep going. Always lock up the property. Double and triple check. That one goes without saying. But triple check, because you might think that you're locking up that property, and then it's scary to get a call from an agent that goes, hey, I saw that you showed this property, and that's right around when the time the key went missing or the door was left open. We have such a unique responsibility in that we're entering people's personal properties, and it's just good to shine some light on that again. Make sure you're triple checking. This is the one. I get maybe 3 calls a week. Nobody is leaving showing feedback, and it's infuriating. And I want to make sure that our agents aren't in that category. Always try to leave constructive feedback for the listing agent. It's so helpful, and you develop a rapport too with those agents. You might have another transaction with them down the road, and they'll remember you. Oh, that was Greg Tiffin. He gave me some really good advice. It actually helped me get the home sold. Always leave constructive showing feedback. Is that still a thing you guys are encountering on your listings where you're not getting any?
Yeah.
See, and I feel like these are things that they don't teach in real estate school, because that advice and that feedback is so helpful for a seller and a listing agent. And at the end of the day, we're all on the same team. We might be with different brokerages and we might be with different objectives, but we're all on the same team to some extent. I say that, but we know there aren't agents. We know agents don't operate like that all the time. And then this is a big one. Alert the listing agent if there are problems in the house. It almost goes without saying, but maybe you're an agent out there who's a little timid. I don't think any of you guys are, but maybe this reaches people where I don't know if it's really my responsibility to tell the seller and the listing agent that the basement's flooding. Yes, it is. They need your help. Wouldn't you want somebody to tell you? Mm-hmm. So there have been a couple calls on that kind of stuff. There's a pipe leaking in the basement. What do I do? Because you guys, some people go into panic mode. Call the listing agent right away. And we even got a call from a water company it wasn't one of our listings, but they thought it was. It was a water company noticing about, I can't remember the amount, a lot of water running on the meter, and it was going straight into the basement. Wow. So for how long? Oof. So help one another. It goes without saying.
Yeah. Also, a couple weekends ago, we were showing a house and they had 2 little dogs in their wire kennels downstairs, and the showing instructions said no worries, go ahead on but the dog peed herself while we were there. So from dog owner to dog owner, I called the agent. I was like, they may want to go give your dog a bath real quick if there's so just thoughtful things like that. They were really grateful. So
and that's the good stuff where you're building these nice little rapport with other agents out there. They remember that. Yeah. You make a friend. And then before you know it, maybe they join equity. And you guys I mean, that's...
Over a dog peeing yourself.
Yes. I'm so glad your dog peed in that show. But all jokes aside, that's the stuff that has meaning, is these relationships we build with other people. So, anyways, that's the showing etiquette. Were there any other... Oh, I don't want you to see that one yet. Any other showing etiquette, though, that you guys want to share that you've encountered that we should be aware of? I think those were the big ones. Jennifer.
So this happened twice with 2 $1 million listings in Superior and Louisville. The buyer's agent allowed somebody to use the toilet in the home. They pooped, didn't flush, and the seller found it a week later.
Surprise!
So please don't let your buyers use the toilets. That would be a request on my behalf.
That's a great one. That's a really
If they have to go to the bathroom, take them somewhere public.
Yes. I agree. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever had a situation where the seller's agent had insisted on being there when I was doing the show?
Yeah, it depends on the type of property. Some high-end homes typically.
Yeah, they just want to vet people and make sure that there's double eyes, double agents.
That I was just curious.
Yeah.
She explained it to me as she just relocated here from California, and she thought that Colorado agents were not very bright.
Wow. Oh my God.
To which I said, hello, excuse me. I was just curious.
That's
So
when we
not
don't want an
uncommon.
equity. No.
I just wanted to make sure that's not
The thing is,
Especially
like,
Yeah.
5 or 6 showings back to back, and they're really close together. Make them 3 a break and a 3 for the other people, for the buyers.
Yeah.
Because then they have time to get a drink or a bathroom. Because I tell them don't use the bathroom.
That's good.
But you're gone all day. I don't expect you to not use the bathroom. So, but 30 or 40 minutes in between.
Yeah. Space it out. And you just made me think of another one too when you're showing properties and you know there's a lot of interest. I don't know if you guys do this, but when I show properties, I take the key with me and put it in my pocket, lock the front door. Yeah. Make sure nobody else can get into it. Again, basics. But these are things we don't talk about. So
second door behind that make them show.
That too. And if there's an agent waiting to get in, we don't know who that person is.
Right.
So you could even say, hey, I understand you're trying to get in. I'm going to lock this back up and you can access it yourself. Or just verify, normal, this is normal. We were expecting this at 11 o'clock today. These are just tests that our building is doing. Yeah. It's going to last for 45 minutes. They said it'll only be a couple minutes. Yeah.
So that raises a question for me. Are most of you allowing overlap in showings for your listing?
I've never been a fan of it because it's just too much to manage, and who's got the key and the liability. So Katie, oh gosh.
It's even on my phone.
Yes,
it's emergency tenders.
Oh, it's a tender and emergency.
So Katie brought up a good question. On your listings, do you allow overlapping showings? And I personally don't advise it. Too much risk.
Even if it's a vacant property?
I'd say even if it's a vacant property.
Even more.
Just because people can do things, and if there's more attention in other areas of the house, that opens up the opportunity for the wrong person to disappear and do something they shouldn't.
And I'm going to change that in the showing notes before we go live tomorrow. Thank you.
I think it's just one of those things where it probably won't be a problem until it is.
Okay.
And that's why I err on the side of caution.
And then at least you know who's been there and what time period too.
Exactly. What happens if the key did go missing and there were 5 agents in there?
Yeah.
It's always good to, in your listing, to specify asking people do not use the bathroom or you sit on the furniture. That's one I learned from one of the agents. I think that's good. So.
Yeah, and as you're listing properties, think strategically about what you do and don't want people to do, and give them some helpful information in the showing remarks. It's good.
Can I ask a question about
of course.
lawns? Because it used to be you have this, it's May, it's hot.
Yeah.
Like 90 degrees day, and people don't want to water their lawn, sellers don't. Buyers don't want a dead lawn by the time they close into May.
Yeah, it's tough.
Photos from MLS obviously don't show a green lawn because they took the photos in March. So how do you, I asked, hey, can your seller trim the spring lawn at least twice a week?
Yeah.
We got a little pushback, but lawns are expensive.
It's not in the condition when they first saw it.
Well, it would be because it's winter. I mean, they're all kind of. I'm just asking because it's definitely going to be a thing this summer.
I think it's worth having a conversation, and you look at the local rules on watering, because a lot of them are tough right now. I think it's 2 times a week.
2 times a week, yeah.
But I think it's important to have that conversation with the seller that, yes, it's an eyesore, and that looks like a money sign to a buyer that has to pour work into it. The other piece that comes to mind is RE Colorado's rules on, is it an accurate representation of the property?
But yeah, the photos are from
March.
That's hard to argue that point. But
Any other thoughts?
I would say it's part of maintaining the property. While
Yeah.
they still own it, that's part of maintaining the property, and that's giving the buyer another reason to negotiate the price or concession.
Yeah.
Because if they're gonna have to fix the lawn, that's gonna cost money to fix it.
well, as a buyer's agent, you're already in a contract. We're
You
asking.
mean you're under contract and the seller, are you on the buy side?
Yeah.
The seller's not watering the lawn?
Oh, you're on the other side, you're not the listing.
How's the list agent? Maybe watering the
Oh, I thought you were the listing agent.
like
I was gonna say, so let's look at this. Let's look at this. Let's look at this contractually, because not everything is covered in the contract. But one thing in the contract that you could call the listing agent and say, "Hey, I just want to remind you that your seller is contractually required to provide possession of the property in the same condition that it was in when we wrote the offer."
And I did. And they
I
are,
figured you did.
but in 3, in 3 weeks it's going to be dead if they're not going to water. We close the end of May. So with 90-degree days, it's tough. But I told them, so that's what they got to do. So it's just interesting. It's a tough time because the MLS photos, the grass is not.
That's a tough one. It's a tough one. There are a couple more in our list, though, that might kind of go into that lane a little bit, which I might come back to it, Beth. But that's a perfect example of this. Call, don't text. Call, don't text, especially when you're negotiating, submitting offers, or navigating complex situations like a lawn. Follow up with a summary in writing when needed. We get a call on the hotline probably twice a month where an agent's really stressed out. I'm texting this agent and they just seem really annoyed at me, and or whatever the circumstance might be, they're being really nasty to me, and my first thing is give them a call. So much can be lost in translation amongst text. We all have that person in our family or our friends. Every time I text this person, I feel like they're mad at me.
Yeah.
They don't know that they're coming across that way. So don't try to negotiate or put out fires, because a lot of problems can be solved with just a quick phone call. And unfortunately, that's the direction our people in general are going, or less interaction, texting.
And I think calling, especially when you're gonna put in an offer, what do the sellers want? Is there something special that they would like over something else? Or, you can ask questions and build rapport right there.
Yeah. He's gonna say, did you see these slides, Diane?
No. Sorry.
No, I love it. You're on the right page.
Plus, you don't know, I have teenage and early 20-year-old kids that always ask me, like, why are you being so aggressive? Because I use punctuation. You know, and it's like help me understand I put a period at the end. Like, yeah, you can use punctuation up until the end, but if you leave, I'm like, I don't even care. That might be what you're dealing with.
Yep.
You know, like, you don't put an exclamation. Do you not? You know what I mean? Is that taken as whatever?
So true. Lost in translation. Instead, it should be, yeah, bro, the inspection was dope AF.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm getting to that age now where I feel out of touch because I'm like, what does that even mean? So, calm. Yeah. Chop?
Chop is like not good.
That inspection was chopped, bro. We gotta have some fun with this, right? So this is another important one in that same territory. Communicate and respond to every single inquiry within reason. And what I mean by that is confirm receipt. Even if you're getting texts or emails, just confirm receipt and then follow up later when you're not running around like crazy. Because one of the things you guys have called in on is I cannot get anything back from this agent. I've submitted an offer, I've emailed, I've texted, I've voicemailed. That can cause turmoil if the offer is accepted, because then you think this agent's a poor communicator. But don't always jump to the conclusion that they're a bad communicator. They might just be receiving a ton of interest on this property. And one little thing you guys can do is just say, received. I'll be in touch as soon as possible. I think that one goes a long way.
On CTM.
What's that?
Even if I just send a thing on CTM, I always email them or text them to say, I just sent an offer.
Yeah, that's professional.
And then they say received.
And it just feels good to receive that communication.
Yeah.
Then you're setting yourself up for this agent's, they know what they're doing. I feel confident in accepting their offer. It plays into a bigger picture here. Approach the co-op agent as a teammate, not an enemy. This has happened probably 3 times in the last month where I'm getting calls from managing brokers saying we need to talk about so-and-so. And it's just these people.
Don't look at me.
No. Well, and actually, I was happy to say that the equity agents, it's not their problem, it's what they're getting from the other side. And yet here I'm getting a call from that managing broker referencing text messages, and I go, yeah, it's pretty easy to see what happened in the text messages. I think you need to kind of reel your agent in a little bit. So there's this idea of opposing sides. I'm going to be tough because that's how I negotiate. And if you just go into it as a teammate, you can actually get some great negotiations with those agents when you build a rapport. I look at Charlie because you're great at that, and some of the stuff you've brought to the support line, you've been able to come out on top because you spent extra time building a rapport with the
that's just a gift I'm grateful to have. But it's really cool because that's what I lead with on listing appointments and new buyer consults. That I'm really good at meeting people where they are. Yeah. And and I'm like, if we get a difficult agent, I promise you, I'll break her by the time we're done. We'll be best friends, and it works. Yeah,
it's a side quest, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'm on a quest.
By closing. So you're representing opposing sides, but you have the same goal in common, and that's getting to the closing table. And then I always had Steve Stringham out in Utah. He's another mentor to me, like Todd. Todd Schuster is and was. And he always had the term, be polite, but firm. And that's a perfect place to leave it. Be polite, build rapport. We're a team, but I'm not going to let you walk all over me either. I'm going to be firm. So, any other comments on that one? Okay. Oh, this one comes up all the time. Don't communicate with the other agent's client directly. It may seem innocent, but it's an overstep. And then similarly, don't allow your client to talk to the opposing side either. Yeah, well, there have been some situations where I'm like, yeah, I can see why you don't think it's a big deal, but... So one of them is maybe unrepresented customers. If you're working on a listing, you have an unrepresented buyer customer. This, you might be able to do this, but you've got to be careful. The question that came through was, can my seller sit down with the unrepresented customer and talk about the terms of the offer without me being there? No, they shouldn't be doing that. And just simple things like asking questions to a client directly on the other side. We have to remember that consumers are at a different level with this than we are. We know more about license law and contracts. We can take information and use it against them, and that can then cause conflicts with the other agent on the transaction too when they find out about what happened. It's just, we are there as a buffer to keep the buyer and seller in their place, manage emotions. So, questions?
Not a question, I just have an interesting scenario.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So my neighbor 2 doors down was selling his house. He had to go through with Sotheby's because of the relocation services. And I actually ended up bringing a buyer to that house. And she was a friend of mine also, invited to my Christmas party. And he's my neighbor, invited to my Christmas party. So I'm like, if I didn't know them both, it could have become an awkward thing. But I spoke to the other agent and I said, you are welcome to come to the Christmas party also. You know, I didn't know how to approach that. That was really kind of...
I think the easiest way is just to outline those boundaries. I've got a relationship and I'm representing this person and you've got this going on and we just need to keep that in mind.
Yeah, which I did tell, she said, it's totally fine. You guys are neighbors.
Yeah, you can do it. I think it's just some people aren't even aware of it, and that's when it's a problem.
Yeah.
Because then they start talking about things, or they start talking.
Yeah. But I knew both parties and that they would be fine. So it did make me a little nervous to do that. But
well, that's good.
I didn't like not. I mean, all the neighbors were invited, and he's going to see. It's kind of awkward. It was an interesting story.
Well, another one that comes to mind, sometimes you might be submitting an offer on a listing and it's crickets, you're not hearing anything. The thing that you do in that case, you can submit offers to a seller directly if you feel like the listing agent isn't receiving them or presenting them. But one tier higher, that's when you would call the employing broker of that other firm and present the offer to that employing broker to then present to the seller. So again, there's that boundary of you're not really supposed to talk to the other client on the other side specifically directly.
Has anybody done that?
Yeah.
A long time ago, before electronic contracts, I had to deliver a contract to a house because the agent wasn't responding. So I delivered it to the house for the buyer, and that's about the only thing.
I know Rocio, if you know her, Rocio Cantelli dealt with that late last year. She presented it to the employing broker and it was no problem.
And I know a lot of agents in California do that more often.
Yeah. And truly there have been some circumstances where the agent is in trouble. Car crashes and they're in the hospital unexpectedly. So there's, just make sure you use the points of authority and you don't call that seller directly. Just
don't go knock on the door.
Yeah.
And say, here's the contract.
Hey, you want to negotiate?
Then I'll have a good ending.
Yeah. So this is why I chuckled, Diane, because that was one of our takeaways. Always call the listing agent.
Right.
Does everybody do this? Do you always call the agent?
Yes.
Good. I figured you did. You guys are connected. You're here at the meetings. You know what you're doing. But you can gain so much intel on the transaction and really set yourself up for success. Build a rapport with the listing agent. How many of you have stories where the listing agent said, we accepted your offer because we could tell that you were just really good. And it makes a difference. And tell your buyers that you're doing that too.
And I do the same when I have a listing. If somebody calls, it's not myself, they called, they actually called. I've got 4 other texts, but I actually got a call. And my sellers like that too. They're like, oh, that was nice. So I do the same. As a millennial, I do prefer texting. In real estate, I pick up the phone.
That's a good territory to be in. Yeah, that's good.
And it's nice when they pick up the phone on the other side.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, yeah. And then have your buyer's lender call too. I threw that in there for Amir and Brianna because they are amazing. To have a lender call and back up your buyer and verify employment, that makes all the difference. Again, you guys know this. I know a lot of it's a repeat. Don't use MEC dates and deadlines in your contracts unless there's a specific reason. Does anybody do that? I doubt it.
Sometimes if there's going to be a situation where there's a property we're up against a lot of different offers, or it's an investment property and there's going to be several days, we don't know when they're going to respond. I'll use the MEC deadlines, or for early deadlines like the seller's property disclosure,
earnest money,
MEC deadlines for those. But that's about the only time.
And backup offers.
Oh my God.
Yeah, backup offer is a reason where you would use MEC deadlines. And for anybody, mutual execution of contract plus X days. Always put in physical dates when you can, because when you're in the weeds of it and you're 30 days in and you're trying to count the days on the calendar, do I count Saturday? Do I count Sunday? Do I count Memorial Day? It's just confusing. And actually, we see a lot of offers that you guys submit that you've received on your listings where agents still do this out there. So just one of those kind of formalities that just make sure you're doing it if there's a reason. Did you have something to say, Dominic?
I was just going to say backup.
Oh, backup offers, perfect. And done.
I did this last month, but I did it again. So we just closed a deal with Amir, and the other agent said to me, "Is that your normal lender?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Wow, he's amazing."
I stand behind that statement for both of those guys. They're pretty amazing. That's awesome. What a wonderful review there.
It was a complex one, wasn't it?
Very complex.
Yeah. And I didn't have to deal with it at all. It was awesome.
Contact Own Home Loans today. All right, guys. So this is one I added this morning. Don't leave unused sections of the contracts blank. Include none or NA instead. 3 asterisks, though. You have to be very intentional of this, though, because you can quickly and accidentally remove sections of the contract without realizing it. My point with this, though, is if you're not using the conditional sale deadline, for example, don't leave it blank, because there's always going to be the question in the listing agent's mind, did they forget that? Whereas if there's a none or an NA in there, it shows that you're diligent, that you're checking every box. Just be careful, though, in your templates in CTM not to automatically throw an NA or none anywhere in the contract that you have a blank, because you might be deleting things that you could use later in the transaction. Because if you strike a section from the contract, it doesn't exist, and that might be a portion of the contract that you need to protect your buyer's earnest money. So be aware. Don't leave blanks, because it leaves questions. Thoughts? Pretty easy? Okay. We're getting to the end here. This one's more about referral and repeat business. Don't go silent after closing. So many agents, they close the deal and they go, yes, I made it. Here's my check. And then crickets. Create clients for life. Turn every transaction into 2 or 3 future transactions through genuine care. It's actually kind of fun. That's what I don't understand, is it's fun to check in on your past people. Here's a quick list of items you can do. Pop by from time to time. Check in on home renovations. Meet for coffee or lunch. Send tax valuation appeal emails. Send settlement statements at tax time. Send CMAs if it's 3 years, 4 years later and they might be thinking about selling. Just a reminder to keep touching and dripping Lovely people. Last one. Realize that our industry is small and people remember how you make them feel. I look at Crystal because I remember a transaction, I think it was your deal, with a couple agents we've encountered. And by the end of our correspondence, we're like, okay, now I know that name of that agent and we're going to watch out for him.
They went onto the blacklist.
Yes. So again, we have such good people in our office. So it's not me saying that I think you're doing these things. It's just a reminder that people are watching. Not only are you representing yourself, but you are also representing a community of 600 agents at Equity. And that's worth something. I think all of you know, I know there's a handful of people who are new, and it's a big piece to the puzzle of our integrity and who we are as a company. That is probably the most important piece to me. And I want to make sure that that comes through, and I know it does with the people in this room. But it's worth mentioning, people are watching, and we've got 3,600 agents nationwide, and I want them to see Equity. That's a great agent. This transaction is going to be smooth because they run a tight ship. So. Questions? Comments? I'd open it up and say.
Did you want to mention that you said you were seeing this a lot more lately, where that agent called me and said, "Hey, we just want to go to an estimate after we're under contract, after inspection."
Yeah.
You know where I'm going?
Yep.
So if you want to mention that.
Yep. Beth just had that too.
That happened to me too.
And Crystal, we had a segment on a sales meeting. Probably, I think it was. Did we say it was 2025, Beth? I think it was 2025. I'll bring that back up because the question is it okay to let a buyer in to take measurements for future work after the major inspection and appraisal milestones have passed? And there's risk to that for a number of reasons. I mean, they could damage something that could cause turbulence. There's sections in the contract that help address that. More importantly, they might dig up some more material facts that they didn't catch in the inspection process. And there's a clause in the contract that lets them potentially get out of the contract. So the answer to that question when someone says, can I come measure, can I get my contractor in there? No, we're 2 weeks away from closing. You can definitely do that after closing because it's not worth the risk on the list side.
How do you navigate it if it's your buyer?
I think I would say it's a little bit of an overstep.
Okay.
But again, on the buy side, if the seller is willing to do it, I'm not as concerned. It's more about protecting you guys on the listing side. But I would have that conversation that it's a little bit of it's an overstep because we're supposed to research that property during inspection, maybe during appraisal, and then final walkthrough. That's the other thing.
I'll let your buyer know that if something happens while they're measuring,
That too.
it's their cost.
Yep.
Yeah.
And reference that section. I should know the section. It's damages.
Insurance.
Yeah, insurance. And it says right there, buyer or anybody representing the buyer, like an inspector breaks something, buyer's on the line. So thanks for bringing that up, Doug. Great question.
I had that happen to me, and I was on the listing side, and the buyer's agent requested, they already had a general inspection, they already had a roof inspection. They wanted another roof inspection after the inspection period was over with. A couple weeks before closing, they wanted to have another roof inspection. They requested it, I denied it, my sellers denied it.
And that was those might have been the agents I was talking about.
Yeah. And then the buyer's agents had already sent out the roofing company to their house, to the seller's house. The sellers were home, and the roofing company went onto their property, went onto the roof, and did another inspection. So now we got into, now you're trespassing, and all of the things that go along with that. And then, like you said, like safety concerns, like they have a dog, like they could have had a gun, they could have, they weren't expecting somebody to be on the roof of their house after we said no.
Well, and the roofers don't know that either.
That's the thing, is I talked to the roofers, and the roofers, they don't know that part of the communication. All they know is this person said, okay, go do this. They don't know that they're not allowed to be there at that time.
How did that end up?
Not good.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good. I can tell you that.
Did you end up filing a complaint on that one?
I haven't, but I'm still thinking about like filing a complaint.
That was just one of many things.
Oh, that was just the last thing that happened amongst the whole long list of things that happened. We closed. Yeah, we closed, but I mean, I had that buyer's agent in tears. I was like, yeah, to the point, right, where we talked about filing a complaint, and I still think about filing a complaint.
Yeah,
It's so just side issue. How long do you have to file a complaint? Not that I'm not going to do it, but like
I don't know that right off the top of my head. I'd have to look.
That was November.
I would say like 30 days or something.
Well, I was gonna say,
I'm guessing, but
things happen all the time years after, you know,
right.
fraudulent activity. Because I
feel
don't know
like
if
you're
there's
gonna like the
necessarily.
details of it. Like you probably have to like get.
Oh yeah, I made diligent notes.
Yeah. But I don't know if there is an official timeline. I'll circle back on that one. Yeah. Real quick, we're running out of time, but are there any other formalities or best practices out there that you guys have seen that you wish agents would be more aware of?
Pick up your phone and give feedback.
Yeah.
Simple things.
Communicate.
Yeah.
Don't give buyers a lockbox code and send them without you.
That's a
That happened last year. That happened, and the seller didn't want to file a complaint because they're like, "Well, maybe we'll get an offer." But I'm like, I really want to file a complaint, you know. I say, cameras.
Yeah.
You know, cameras tell everything. The agent wasn't anywhere near it. I'm like, send me a video. I look at the agent like it's not him, you know. And so, but apparently he's been known to do that, you know.
That's where there is some value in filing a complaint, because that's a representative of our industry.
Yeah.
And that hurts.
I like when people do the backup lock. If they have like Sentry Lock or that computer pad lock that sometimes doesn't work. If there's like an alternative lock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
That's
do
nice.
two.
Good point, Aaron.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So if you had a listing and that other agent, and you had multiple offers, or not even, and they came in and made an offer on your house, what would you say to the seller to?
If this was, I guess, another listing, and
Yeah.
I couldn't. Well, there were so many things that happened. Like that was just one piece. Like,
Yeah.
They played a lot of games, and like they actually.
Would you want to deal with them?
No,
That's what I'm
I
saying.
would advise my clients. I would strongly advise them not to do it. In fact, we got to the closing table. Well, actually, the last thing that happened, we were sitting at the closing table, and the money was entitled to not have the money in their account. We had to sit there with the lender for an hour at the closing table waiting for the money.
What lender?
So, I have to look back.
That's good to know.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Well,
happened to me.
and he actually, because this whole entire transaction went so badly, the lender he offered to come and sit into our closing.
That's
Because he
awesome.
normally doesn't come to the sellers, you know. But he came, and I'm glad he was sitting there, because I was like he had to answer all the questions. But why is the money not there? And so I advise my clients to sign all the paper. You can go ahead and sign all the paperwork. Don't sign the deed. Do not sign the deed.
wire wasn't there?
The wire was not there.
Funding authorization.
The wire was not
The
there.
wire was
It was
not
not there. We were just sitting there waiting and waiting. That's
Yeah.
awkward.
Yeah, it's not- it's not.
Yeah. So I would strongly advise them. I would say, yeah, don't. It'll be a massive headache. It's not going to be a pleasant experience.
We'll get it better off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my very first deal took 4 hours for the wire to get in. The girl almost, she was crying. It was American financing, so we all know how to do it.
I had that happen once too. And my kids freaking out. It's lunchtime. Why don't we go to lunch?
Yeah.
And we went to lunch and everybody relaxed and we got back to the was there. So
Best money you ever spent.
It just, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, let us know if you have any other scenarios of formalities that people need to be more in tune with. We'll add them to the next meeting. But I want to get you out of here on time. 2 quick events coming up that I want to mention. Working with Buyers, presented by Paul, Sara, and Greg, who watched the Working with Sellers class that Greg and Sara put together. Good. It was so good. And it was just so fun to see your guys' processes and tie it to the equity systems. So we're going to be doing a similar class for Working with Buyers, and that's going to be 2 weeks, I think, from today, May 27th, 10 a.m. to 12. We will record it, but we'd love the in-person interaction if you can be there. And then these monthly mastermind classes presented by Land Title. We did our first one on Monday, and we got really good feedback. Everybody really liked it. So it's a collaboration with Sana and Jess from Land Title, and we're kind of feeding them your feedback of what you guys want to talk about and how can title help us. These are really beneficial, and I hope they pick up enough traction where we can move them up to this conference room because so many people attend. But all good things from that. Business building, all kinds of good stuff. And then, let's see, I think the last piece, Power Pros. So if you're attending your first meeting, we do Power Professionals, where if you close 2 or more transactions in a month, we take you out to a nice lunch, get some recognition to share on Facebook. The agents pictured here closed 2 or more transactions. So we'll give them a quick shout out. If you could join me up here for a quick picture, I know it's uncomfortable, but we'll be fast about it. So reading off some of these names, Konstantina Gatchis. Really excited about Konstantina. She's been working hard on some of those transactions. Kristen Wiley couldn't be here today. She's up in Frederick, great agent, a repeating Power Pro. Rachel Brolman, another Power Pro, 2 transactions. Justin Savoy, 2 transactions. He couldn't be here because his dog has some medical things going on, so send him some love if you can. Doug Free, he's here. Join me, Doug. Congrats, Doug. We should also give a shout out to Darcy, too, your wife. You guys are a team there. And then Dominic Gianfrancesco, 2 transactions. Congratulations. Thank you. I'll take a picture in just a minute here. And then Karina Podlesny, she's traveling. Jameson McBride, I'm really excited about. This is his first time being a Power Pro, and he achieved the most transactions closed award, 3 transactions in April, with a sales volume of 1.6 million. That's a great achievement. Jameson, good job. Couldn't be here today. He's got little ones at home, and he's also an architect. Isn't that pretty cool? And then I think our last, just to notify, Ryan Penn. This is another cool one. Ryan Penn achieved a top sales agent award, 2 transactions, 3.8 million in sales. So congratulations to Ryan Penn. Really proud of Ryan. That's great. They couldn't be here though. They're out selling homes. So that's the 3 of us in this picture.
I love pictures.
Awesome. Congratulations. And if you guys have time, any new listings coming soon, buyer needs, anything you guys want to share with the group, if you can stay. Diane.
I have a new listing. It's my daughter's home. It's up in Sunnyside.